Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Y'all come on in, come on in. Come on in, come on in. Let's get started with tonight's live cooking class, or cooking demo rather, demonstration. And today I have a special meal prepared for you guys. Well, that I'm going to prepare for you guys. As usual, I got everything already laid out, ready to go. And I'm going to break down, how to make some dietary adjustments when cooking to deal with a blood pressure issue. So you guys, come on in, come on in. I got everything set up, ready to go, and I got it set up to where I can streamline this video. That way we're not here in the kitchen all day just to see a finished product. I got everything prepped out, ready to go, everything set up there, and we're going to dive right into this demonstration. That way you guys can get some ideas of what it looks like when it comes down to cooking, dealing with blood pressure issues, how to maneuver through all those different foods that can cause these different pitfalls that we're experiencing. And this demonstration is just going to show you what you can prepare and just give you an idea of what you can prepare, and just open up your imagination to creating some really good dishes in your kitchen. So come on in, come on in. I got my station all set up right here in my kitchen. I do have you guys on a tripod, and what's going to happen is once I get moving and start getting in different stations, I'm gonna take you from this tripod to that tripod, from that tripod to this other side. That way you can get like a bird's eye view of everything that I'm doing, how my hands are moving, and how I'm crafting the recipe that I have. So right now, I got a combination of things that I'm preparing. Making a traditional rice and peas style recipe with some jerk mushrooms and some cabbage and a few other plantains and things like that. So this is going to give you an idea of like what a whole food plant-based diet consists of, and help you understand that it's not just all about eating salads and fruits and things like that. It's a lot of different great combinations that you could create that's going to be tasty, that's going to just nourish your body and help you correct some of these issues that you're dealing with. So I'm glad that you guys are all here, and we could dive right into this process and get things going. So I'm going to go ahead and move my camera. I'm going to put you guys on top of my station that I have right here. I'm going to explain and break down some of my ingredients. That way you could kind of just get an understanding of what's going on and get a picture of what this dish is going to come together and look like. So I'm going to go ahead and move you guys now. Bear with me, and boom, here we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, wrong button. All right, cool. So you guys are over my cutting board here, and I'm going to give you a nice view this way, and let's see what we got. All right, cool. That looks good. So if you guys can see and you guys can hear me good, just put a 1 in the chat so I can know that we all on the same page. And hey, don't forget to share this live video. That way, you got friends and family that may be dealing with high blood pressure, trying to make some dietary changes. Go ahead and share this video for me so they can get some of these good details and insights on the things that they can do or prepare to help with their blood pressure issues. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to kind of explain everything that I have going on. Again, I told you I prepped everything up so I can streamline everything. That way we're not here all night watching me prepare and cut stuff. So I'm going to go over a quick breakdown of what we have, and that way you get an idea of what's going to come together and what it's going to look like. So I guess I'll start in the back right here. So over here, we have a selection of mushrooms. We got portobello, white mushrooms, baby bello, along with some peppers, onions. Those are the tricolored blends. This is going to be our star of the show, basically. And what's going to happen is I'm going to season this up. I'm going to give it a nice jerk blend and also put a nice marinade on top of it. That's going to give it the flavor profile that we're looking for to make it come together really well. And the marinade that I have is this blend right here. It's like a sofrito type blend. Peppers, onions, garlic, cilantro. I put some jerk seasoning inside of it to give it some nice flavor, and a couple other spices that's all blended in. So what's going to happen is when we get to this step, I'm going to mix this all together inside of here so it could be like a marinade and bring out a lot of flavor of these different mushrooms that are going on right here. So this is going to be like our big star of the show. Over here, we got some sliced plantains. I'm going to show you how to just saute these off on your stove. And that way, you don't have to. You can go through this process, make some a nice version of plantains that's not like deep fried in oil. That could be contributing to some of the issues that we might be experiencing. So, and next up over here, we got our quinoa. So our rice and peas, we're substituting the rice and we're using quinoa. So it's going to be like a quinoa and peas type recipe. And the peas that we're using, we're just going to use some regular small red beans. I'm going to show you how we marry those together, make it come together all nice and fine and build that nice flavor. I got some low fat coconut milk over here that's going to go into my rice and peas. Got some onions and garlic. That's going to be the base inside there as well. And then we're going to talk about our spices also. I got this homemade Creole blend right here. That's going to be the flavor profile of our rice. Then I got this homemade Jamaican jerk seasoning also. This is going to go on top of this marinade. One of the most popular questions I get is, how do I season my food if I'm not using salt and I'm reducing my sodium and things like that? We're going to get into these different spice blends so you can understand how you can prepare these in the comfort of your own home and still get the different type of flavors that you're looking for. So this is my Creole seasoning right here that's going into the rice, and then my Jamaican jerk that's going inside of this blend, this mushroom and pepper blend also. I got a couple peppers right here that's going inside of these the quinoa and peas. Got some leftover cilantro sitting around, and then I also have my cabbage mixture right here. You can mostly see the peppers and onions on top of it, but once I get deeper inside, you can actually see the cabbage. So we're gonna also saute some cabbage over here, and I'm gonna show you how to get some great flavors out of this cabbage, the peppers and onions. So I got my stove already heated up, ready to go, and what I'm gonna basically do, I'm gonna transition you guys back over on top of my stove. That way you can have a bird's eye view of my cooking station, and I'm going to start preparing everything and get it going. I'm going to also work in basically in the order of operations like you do in the kitchen. I'm going to start preparing the things that take the longest. That way, again, we're not here all day just watching and waiting for something to happen. I'm going to get it done in an efficient manner. That way it all comes together the right way, and we all in a good spot. So here we go. We're on top of the stove. I'm going to switch this tripod up, and boom, I think we're good right here. I think I'm going to bring this down. Yeah, so here we go. Right over the pot right there. My pot a little scratchy up, but don't crucify me over it. It's all good. And the first thing I'm going to go to this pot, actually. This is where my cabbage is going to go. I like to get the cabbage going first because it usually it's usually pretty quick. And I just don't like waiting on cabbage, especially something that doesn't take long to cook. I'm just going to get it started going first. The main thing is, one thing I talk about a lot, I do not cook with oil. In like blood pressure cooking classes, I talk about this many times about, the damaging effects of oil and how it relates to blood pressure. So in this pot, you can see there's no oil, but I got my handy dandy water bottle here with me. And this is going to be one of the main tools I use to keep my food nice and hydrated and moving along inside of the pot. And as you can see, I got it already heated up, ready to go. Show you real quick. Boom, drop that in there. Pot's already hot, ready to go. So when you're cooking without oil, one of the main things you want to do is make sure your pot is not too hot. Right now it's on 6-7. That's nice medium high heat. And this is going to allow me to control the temperature and the food that I'm cooking without it sticking and burning up on the bottom of the pot. Because one thing that the oil does, oil is designed to create what's called the Maillard effect, which caramelizes your food and keep it from sticking. So since we're not using any oil, we're going to make sure that we're manually doing this process by keeping our food moving, hydrating the pan with some oil or some vegetable broth. With some water or some vegetable broth. That way we can still cook our food without burning it up or charring it in any type of way. So what I'm going to do now, go ahead and take my my cabbage. As you can see, I got the onions and the peppers right on top. I'm going to go ahead and drop those inside this pan right here. So my onions and cabbage are just going to fall in. And then we're just going to go ahead and start the sauteing process for these items here. And I keep it real simple with the cabbage that I'm preparing. Some people like to put like carrots and a few other things inside of it. I didn't feel like going through all that, to be honest. I got carrots in there, but I didn't feel like cutting them. But I got some onions and some peppers inside, and the cabbage is there. And I'm simply just going to hydrate this pan a little bit. That way, as my cabbage starts to cook and break down, that it's actually hydrated and it's sticking to the pan. It's not sticking to the pan, and I can bring those flavors in the way I need to. As you notice, I have yet to season the cabbage at all. Reason being, when you first put something in the pan and you start to season it, that flavor that you're putting in there while it's cooking, it begins to cook off. And the reason you can tell, and the way you can tell that it's cooking off, you start to smell it in the atmosphere. You start to smell the aroma in the house. If someone's ever cooking in the house and you walk in the door and you smell the food, that's a lot of the flavor coming out of the pots. So one thing that I like to do is I like to start the cooking process first, and then I like to add the different seasonings and stuff as I get through this process. That way I can maintain the flavor profile of the dish that I'm preparing, and I can make sure that it tastes the way that I want it to taste. So we got the cabbage and stuff inside. I think I've done enough mixing, as you can tell. I'm gonna drop a little bit more water right on top of it, and we're gonna let that cabbage go ahead and steam up. And I'm also gonna go ahead and put the lid on top of this one. That way, as I put the lid on it, it can go ahead and do what it needs to do, and I don't have to really worry about it. And one thing I also need to do, I want to put like a little small timer on my microwave I got up top. That way I don't forget about it. So I'm going to go ahead and set like an 8-minute timer, and that'll remind me to double back on my cabbage to make sure it's not sticking or nothing crazy going on in the pot. Now, we're on top of the stove here. Again, so I got it already nice and preheated. It's on the medium heat. Drop that water inside. We can hear that that steam coming off. Let me back this tripod up a little bit. Boom. You hear the steam coming off. That lets you know that the pot is nice and hot. And again, we're not going with any oil inside there because, again, we don't want those damaging effects that oil has. And we're going to go ahead and take our onion and our garlic and drop it right on inside of there. And sometimes you'll see some of these bigger pieces of onions that didn't break up all the way. Just take your spoon, break them down, and drop them inside of the pot. So we're on the medium heat, and the main thing we want to happen now, we want our onions and our garlic to come together and give us this nice translucent appearance. And then I'm also going to add some fresh thyme. Well, I don't have fresh thyme, but I have some dried thyme. I'm going to go ahead and drop some dried thyme inside of there. I was looking for fresh thyme, but I didn't get lucky at the little Spanish market I'll be going to. So I'm going to go ahead and drop like almost a tablespoon of thyme inside of there. I didn't measure it, but I can eyeball the work, so it's all right. So I got like a tablespoon of thyme, and I'm going to go ahead and mix that up real quick. And I'm going to let this come together. And this is going to probably take maybe a minute or two to come together, but it's going to allow for those flavors to build inside of this pot and pretty much get us going. This pot right here is going to be our rice and our quinoa and peas. So the thyme, the garlic, and the onions, those are going to work together. And as this is going, we're going to go ahead and start preparing, or rather bringing over the other items that are going to go into the pot as well. So we're going to bring over our quinoa right here. This is 16 ounces of quinoa. That's going to go right inside of there. We're going to bring our red beans right here. This is I want to say probably almost 16 ounces. I used my pressure cooker to cook these off. I didn't buy any beans out of the bag. Out of the can. I always get them out of the bag, mainly because when you buy a lot of canned beans, they tend to be high in sodium. There's some in the can that you can find with no sodium, but it can be rather difficult to do so. And when you're dealing with blood pressure issues, one of the main things you want to try to avoid is foods with excess sodium, particularly those canned and packaged foods. So the best version of these types of beans that you can do is get the dried versions, get your pressure cooker, and boom, that'll be the best thing that you ever did, because that pressure cooker takes about 20 minutes, and you don't have to wait for your beans or any other item that you're cooking for too long. It comes together really, really fast. Now, as you can see, my pot, I've been keeping it moving for the time that I'm standing here. You can see that it's starting to brown at the bottom, and it's slowly starting to char, specifically the thyme that's in there. Whenever this is happening, you just want to get your handy dandy water bottle and just drop it right on top. Drop it right on top, a couple jizzle dazzle, just like I'm doing. You see, I'm not oversaturating the pot. I'm just dropping it in and allowing for the steam and the moisture to lift everything off the bottom of the pot. The last thing you want to do is pour too much water in the pot, because that's going to make your onions and your garlic all soggy, and it's going to really affect the flavor profile that you're going for. So simply dropping a little bit in there and bringing it together is going to allow for It's going to allow for the items in the pot to not stick to it, raise it up, and keep that flavor going the way that you want to. So next, I'm going to go ahead and get my my quinoa, and I'm going to drop it right in the pot, just like this. You'll be like, whoa, you just put it in the pot, no water, no nothing else? Yes, this is just how I do it, man. There's no rule behind it, but I found much success doing it this way, mainly because when you toast off the quinoa, it gives off a different type of flavor. It usually has like this little nutty smell, but once you toast it a little bit before you add it, everything, and start cooking it, it just has a nice, unique flavor profile to it that's very different from when you just cook it and boil it regular. So what I like to do is I like to pour the quinoa into the hot pot with everything else, add and let it toast up for just a few minutes, just stirring it around gently. And what happens is it just gives out a nice little subtle flavor that I really can't explain, but it's good. So it works. And I always do it the same way. And again, there's no rule to you have to toast your quinoa before you do it. It's just something that I do. I find a lot of pleasure in doing it this way. I've probably been doing it this way for about 10 years or so. And I like it. So I do it all the time. So you can always just do it your regular way, or you could just try this out and see how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up this cabbage one more time. And as I'm looking inside, it smells delicious, nothing sticking, and it looks good. So I'm going to put that lid back on, check out this quinoa, and then it looks good. As you can see, there's no oil in the pot. It's not charring or burning at the bottom. But now I want to go ahead and get my peas in. I'm going to drop those in just like this. And I'm not going to use all of them. I don't want it to be too many peas in there. So I'm going to mix that in what I have first. Drop this in next. And make sure that it's all combined and it's looking good, smelling good, getting nice and toasted, and just rolling together. Like, it's not too many peas. It's enough quinoa inside of there. And it's rolling together. So before I even add the rest of my liquids in, I just want to make sure that it's coming together the way that I want it to. So this is going to be perfect. It's looking really good. And I'm actually enjoying every aspect of this at the moment, because I can smell the nice flavors of the quinoa coming off. And that's exactly what I'm looking for out of this recipe. So it's nice and hot. Remember, every time you put something in the pot, it tends to lose a little bit of temperature. So it's going to come back up to temperature in just a second. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring over my coconut milk, because this is going to make this rice nice and creamy and add a lot of Caribbean flavor to it, because this is the Caribbean style rice and peas, but we switched it up a little bit. Instead of with the rice, we're going with the quinoa, mix it up real good, give those same type of flavor profiles. And that way we could, we're designing or crafting rather this nice Caribbean style rice and peas recipe that's going to really be a party on the taste buds rather. So as it's toasting right now, I'm going to go ahead and give it one more gentle stir. And it looks good. As you can see, again, nothing sticking at the bottom. And it's starting to brown really lightly. And that's good enough for me. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my coconut milk right inside. Boom. And one thing with the coconut milk, when I put it in, I like to go half-seas. And what half-seas mean is, like, go ahead and give it half, mix it up a little bit, and then you want to give it the other half. And that way it's no real reason behind it, but it just allows you to maintain control. Because one thing about it, you can always, when you overdo something, it's hard to go backwards. But if you need a little bit more, it's easier to just add a little bit more to it. It's like you're putting too much water inside. It's like putting too much, putting too much liquid inside of the pot. It kind of is hard to go back from that. And when you're dealing with something like quinoa, there go my cabbage right there. So I'm gonna turn that off. Let me take my tongs and give it a nice little twist. And right now, that alarm going off was basically telling me that, hey man, you at the halfway point. Go on and turn that pot down. So instead of being on 6-7 with the cabbage, I'm gonna bring it down to like a 3-4, and that's gonna finish off for the next 15 minutes that we're here on this live. So cabbage is looking good and in a controlled temperature. I went halfway in with the coconut milk, the light coconut milk, and the rice and peas. And now I'm going to go ahead, on the quinoa and peas, now I'm going to go ahead and pour the other half of it in there. give it a quick little stir. And as you can see, it's starting to come to a boil. And that's all good. So I like that boil. The boil is great. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to switch it down to like a 4 or 5. And I'm going to go and bring over some water that I have. And the water is going to actually allow for me to bring balance to hydrate the pot the rest of the way that I need to. And keep it moving. So I used the same pot with the coconut milk, and I added some water inside of it. And now I'm just going to gently pour some right on top of it. And as you can see, I didn't put too much. What's going to happen is as this continues to cook, I may need to add a little bit more water to it. But I want this nice texture to the quinoa. The last thing you want is mushy quinoa, because you put too much water in the pot and it's all chunky and looking all crazy. But when you control it a little better, it allows for you to actually manage it and give it the flavors that you want. So next up, boom, I'm going to drop these 2 peppers inside there. These peppers inside, what's going to happen is it's going to allow for this pot to take some of this flavor out of the peppers, where it won't be spicy, but it'll have a nice flavor profile that kind of carries on. So we got these peppers in. And one thing about putting these peppers in the pot, you got to watch them. You want to make sure you babysit them and take care of them. Now, this don't mean that you got to hold on and watch them every 10 seconds, but you don't want these to burst open inside of the pot because of some type of negligence. Main thing, you want them to be in there, let the steam break it down, absorb the flavor out of it. But once they burst open, they can really destroy the dish as a whole, because it'll be way too spicy. But these peppers here, they're real nice and gentle. As long as they're taken care of, they're going to sit right there and float around in the pot. And they're going to really bring this dish together. So next up, I got my Creole seasoning right here. And this is a homemade blend that I have. Let me grab a spoon real quick so I can get it on out of this bowl. And I also mix it up. So this is a Creole seasoning right here. And with this Creole seasoning, basically you got your thyme, your onion powder, your garlic powder, your smoked paprika, your sweet paprika, and a few other spices inside. And I made this is a homemade Creole seasoning. And one thing about dealing with blood pressure issues, sodium is a big factor for many people. Not all of them, but for many of them. And you want to make sure that when you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's to correct blood pressure issues, you're reducing that excess amount of sodium from all avenues. And one of the big places is the different spices and sauces and things that we're consuming. So I went ahead and made my own seasoning blend. Ideally, I should have ground this up and put it inside, but I ain't. I'm going to drop it inside my pot. And I'm going to go ahead and stir and mix this up really well. And what's happening is this is going to allow me to season the quinoa and peas to create that nice Caribbean style, Creole style flavor that I'm looking for. And I'm just going to stir these up really well. And I'm just going to hit it with it 2 times. Boom, boom, just like that. And this leftover seasoning that I have, I can go ahead and put that back in my jar in the cabinet and use that again for another dish. But as you can see, now the colors are starting to blend well. Everything's coming together. I'm still making sure I'm taking care of these peppers right here. And now I can go ahead and let these quinoa and these peas come together and cook and develop the flavors that we're looking for. So go ahead and get that taken care of. And now we're going to move back over to our star of our show, the mushrooms and the peppers and onions. Now, the last thing I need to do, I need to get a lid on top of this. And I'm going to go ahead and get that in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and move you guys around. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And as soon as I get you guys turned around, we'll go ahead and talk about those questions that you guys might have. So I got you right now. You can see my cutting board here. I'm going to bring these mushrooms and onions and peppers up top. Let me get you a better angle so you can see the whole thing. But I got these up top right here. And now we're going to season these up, marinate them, and get them inside the oven. And they don't take too long to cook. The oven is actually already preheated at 425. So once I pop those in, we're looking at about 10 to 15 minutes, and these are already be done. So right now we got the portobello mushrooms, some peppers, some sweet peppers, onions, and some regular white mushrooms. Really simple batch of mushrooms that I'm using here. You could use any type of mushrooms that you want. If you want to switch up the peppers and use something else, albeit you could create this batch and mix it up however you like. Sometimes I use the oyster mushrooms. Sometimes I use the trumpet mushrooms. Whatever I can find that's convenient, I go ahead and grab it and get it done just like that. So now it's time to season this up. That way we can create the flavors that we want. Right here, I have what's called liquid aminos and a little bit of maple syrup. And as you can see, I don't know if I can turn it sideways so you can see how much. It's not a whole lot, but what's going to happen, I'm going to deviate up between these two bowls. That way, as I'm marinating and seasoning everything, it all can come together. So this bowl here is exactly the same as the other. I'm making a double batch because I don't plan on cooking tomorrow, nothing like that for the children. And they're going to enjoy this tomorrow when it's time for lunch or dinner, whichever time they prefer. So I'm going to go ahead and pour a little bit, or half rather, on this one here. And the same thing, I'm going to pour that other half on there. Now, what's happening is this doesn't take a whole lot when it comes to the coconut aminos and the maple syrup. One thing about Jamaican jerk seasoning is that it comes with it has like a certain amount of salt and brown sugar. So with us eliminating the salt from the diet and not going with any sugars, because remember, we're going salt-free, oil-free, refined, sugar-free to help with those blood pressure issues, we can't use a standard Jamaican jerk type of seasoning. So we have all those other spices blended in, the allspice, the onion powder, the garlic powder, the basil, all that good stuff is all inside of here already. We made this from scratch as well. So everything is here except for the brown sugar and the sodium. This mixture here was our maple syrup and our coconut aminos mixture, and this is going to help add more flavor to this actual dish to increase the flavor profile that we're looking for. So what we're going to do, we gently we actually mixed in the coconut aminos and the maple syrup. We're going to give it a nice gentle twist so that all the different ingredients have a nice coating to it. That way the spices can actually stick to it. And once we do that, we're going to go ahead and, this is going to be hard for me to twist. I should have my bigger bowl, but it's all good. Once we do that, we're going to be able to transition it right into our sheet tray and pop it in the oven. So I'm going to give this a quick little stir, grab my spoon from the side, and then I'm going to give it a nice little drop just like this. Halfway, I'll give it one across just like that. Do a nice little twist again. And then give it another once across again. That way we have enough spices, enough seasoning on it to be nice and flavorful. Now, ideally, it's great to do this and let it sit for a few. Ideally, the best way to do it would be to let it sit for at least an hour, and it can also sit for as long as a 24-hour period. That's the ideal way to get the best flavors out of it. But for the sake of this video, I want to go step by step with you guys so you can actually kind of see the process. And it still tastes great, but the longer you let it sit, the more those flavors begin to build. And then you got a whole nother you hit a whole nother range of flavor and taste when it comes down to it. So we got our Jamaican jerk rub, our coconut aminos inside of there, along with the the maple syrup to bring that flavors together. And lastly, we're going to go ahead and drop our nice sofrito style marinade right on top of it. And this is simply just peppers, onions, garlic, Jamaican jerk spices all blended together, a little cilantro, a little water, and all that good stuff is in there. So we're just going to put a little bit on there, and this is going to just allow for those flavors to build exactly how we want it. All of it's going to build, come together, and don't be afraid to use this neither. It's all like plant-based. It's all nothing but natural plants. And basically, this is just the scraps from the peppers and onions that I created. I didn't have to go out and buy any other peppers or vegetables or stuff like that. When I finished cutting the peppers, all the scraps, I put it in a blender. I made this up real quick, and then boom, that was it. Nothing else to think about. So that was simple, quick, and easy. And now these are all marinated and ready to go. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring over my sheet tray. That way I can get those out of the way and into the oven right away. That way I don't waste all y'all time tonight. I know y'all got plenty of other stuff to do than sit here and hang out with me. But I got it all together here. I'm just going to drop it on the sheet tray. What's this? A sticker? Get that sticker out of here. I'm dropping right on the sheet tray just like this. So now that they're on the sheet tray, you grab your tongs, spread it all out, just like that. Now we're gonna pop these in the oven. The main reason you want to spread it out so it can cook nice and evenly and build the flavors that you want and come together where it's nice and crisp but not too soggy and not all steamed, because you want cooked vegetables nice and tender, but you don't want them steamed. When they stack all on top of each other, they get steamed up, and it doesn't alter the taste, but the texture. To me, I'm really big on texture, so you want to make sure the texture is nice and consistent. That way, when you're enjoying it, it's the flavor that you want. And lastly, don't be afraid to season it up a little bit more. And I'm not going to use my spoon this time because I know I'm going to go too heavy. But I'm going to go ahead and use my fingers. I'm going to go ahead and pinch a little bit right on top of there. So now it still stands out with that nice jerk seasoning. It's all nice and seasoned up really well. And I'm going to pop this one in the oven real quick. So boom, this going to go inside the oven. And we roll it. That only needs about 10, 15 minutes tops. And what's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and set this timer really quick. That way I don't forget about it while it's in the oven and everything else is actually coming together. Boom. So the timer's set. We're in a good position there. And what I'm going to do, since that one's already going, y'all already saw that process. Y'all don't even need to see me make this real quick. If you want to see me make it again, just put a 1 inside the chat. If I see enough 1s, I'll go ahead and make it real quick. But ideally, since 1 is in the oven, that's all we need to get started with. I want to move over to preparing the plantains, because the plantains are also a big part of this dish. And I want you guys to see how that process is actually going and allow us to double back on the cabbage and all that other cool stuff that's there. Oh, I see a lot of 1s coming through. That's 1, 1, 2, 1, 3 1s. All right, cool. I'm gonna do it real quick so you guys can see again. Boom. So we got the peppers, onions, and mushrooms. I've marinated with the maple pepper, the maple syrup, and the coconut aminos. I'm gonna split this bowl up so it can be easier to handle. All of it's already marinated with the blend right here. And lastly, we're just gonna go ahead and drop the spices on it one more time. So a quick little. Oh, this ain't the right one. That's the Creole seasoning. Here it is right here. Boom. Got it. So we're going to go ahead and drop these on there one more time. Boom, boom, boom. Bring those flavors together. Drop it on this one again. Boom, boom, boom. Bring the flavors together. Grab our tongs. Mix that up real quick. That way everything will be nice and coated. Do the same thing in our second bowl. So everything is nice and coated. And then we're going to hit it with a little bit more of our spices. That way it stands out the way that it needs to. One more time on this side again, and then we're gonna go with our sofrito to bring it all together. That way that flavor comes out the way that we want to. And again, don't be afraid to use this, because again, this is a nice marinade, no salt, no oils, no sugar, and it brings a lot of whole food plant-based flavors to that. So we're gonna mix that up real quick. Mix this one up as well, and basically this is gonna be able to sit. And what I'm gonna do, for my sake, I'm not even going to cook this. I'm going to let this sit in the refrigerator till tomorrow. And that way, once the children eat all they can tomorrow, they always be like, we want some more. Is there any left over? Give us some more, please, Daddy, please. It'll already be ready, so I don't even have to think about it. I just pop it in the oven, take about 10 minutes, and then boom, we already ready. So this is cool. This one's done. It's already set up. I'm going to pour this right on top of here, and I'll transfer this into a little Ziploc bag. And that's going to just hold real tight for the overnight, and then I'll be able to use it another time. So I'm going to turn you guys around, show y'all my little dirty bowl right there. But I'm going to bring you guys over here. We back on top of the stove, and we're going to get some eyes on this cabbage along with these plantains. So I'm going to move you guys. I got you on this little tripod right here. Boom. So cabbage there, plantains going here. I'm going to take this lid off of there. And as you can see, that cabbage is nice and wilted. It's coming along really, really well. I have yet to season it or put anything inside of it. But as you can look at the bottom of the pot, nothing's sticking. Nothing's burning. We're not using any oil or anything else inside of it. No butter, none of that stuff. It's just simply letting the water and the moisture from the cabbage cook it and break it down. Me personally, I like my cabbage to have a little bit of bite to it. I don't like it overly soft and wilted and things like that, which, I know some people that do, but, me personally, I prefer it to be nice and gentle and have a nice little crunch to it a little bit, not too crazy, but enough to like, just still enjoy. So what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and season our cabbage up with the first run. Now, usually I'll put the my Creole seasoning on top of the cabbage if I have some left over. But matter of fact, I ain't even gonna fake. I'm gonna go ahead and do that because it always tastes good that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of my Creole seasoning on top of it. This is what I have left over. I'm just gonna give it a nice little, like a little dab right on top of it. And again, one thing I like to do, I don't like to give it all I got while it's still cooking because I don't like my flavors cooking off. So I put that little bit of Creole seasoning in. That way it starts to pick up those flavors. I can smell it already, crazy. That way it starts to pick up those flavors. And once I'm done with this pot completely, I'll go ahead and turn the pot off and season it one more time. And that's all those spices is going to be right on top and ready to go to and dive right into the plate. So this is looking great. I'm gonna go ahead and cover that right back up. And boom, we money over there, so we good. Now, before I get into this plantain real quick, I'm gonna slide you guys over a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. That way you can see the rice and peas. That's where the rice and peas at. You can see those peppers hanging out right there. Taking good care of those. We're gonna open that up. Boom. Now, as you can see, a lot of that water has all that water and coconut milk that was there. It began to evaporate. Now, that's all a good sign, and we know everything is coming together. And what I want to do, I want to gently just push stuff aside to see what's going on. And as you look inside the pot, it's starting to char at the bottom. Not too much, but the last thing you want is your rice or your quinoa sticking to the bottom of the pot. So what we're going to do, we're going to add that little bit of water and coconut milk that we have left over, allow that to go inside, and we're going to give it a nice gentle stir. We don't want to stir it too much, but a nice gentle stir, and allow for that to just come together. And remember, those peppers, make sure you take care of them because you don't want them to be inside this pot and lose track of them and they burst open and, it's just not the same as what you, it won't taste the same because of the spice level that'll change. So we gave that a nice gentle stir, and what's going to happen is this coconut milk and water is going to start to continue to be absorbed into the quinoa. The quinoa is going to get a nice texture. But to prevent this from burning further, we're going to turn this from that 4-5 where it's at that halfway point, and we're going to turn it down. We're going to bring it to like a 3-4. That way we're still in control of that heat that we're using. And that way we're in control. We're not burning and scorching the bottom of our pot, because anybody that's ever cooked rice or quinoa know that once you scorch the bottom of that pot, the rest of the pot is going to absorb those flavors, and it will not taste good. So the better we make sure we control the temperatures, the better we'll actually be able to get the flavors that we want. So now I'm on my cast iron right here. And for this cast iron, I'm going to go ahead and get these plantains going. And I haven't used my cast iron in God knows how long, but I'm going to go ahead and get it going. And the cast iron is actually, let me show you guys, it's on like a 2 range right here. I turned it down because it will start smoking on you. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that to like a 6. And actually, I'm going to probably need like a minute or 2 to let that come up to the right temperature, because I hate going in on a cold pan because sometimes it'll stick. And one thing when you're not using any oil while you're cooking, you got to really control the temperatures and the process, because the last thing I want to do is my pan be too cold, and when it's heating up, the plantains begin to stick to the pot, but then it's going to look all ugly. It's going to taste good, but it's going to look crazy. And I want my food to look pretty because it look good, it tastes good, and I'm all for the looks of things. So this is going to heat up for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and move these out of the way, and while I'm waiting for it to heat up, I'll go ahead and answer any questions that you guys might have. So let me turn that around. Boom, here we go, we're back. I'm going to go ahead and answer any questions that you guys might have. And go ahead and I'm going to answer any questions that you guys might have. Before I dive into any of the questions, anybody that purchased the High Blood Pressure Breakdown book, you should be getting you should have gotten an email, you should have got your book already, or some type of tracking information to better know exactly what's going on. Be sure to check your spam mail, your spam folders, and things like that. That way you can track your book, know exactly where it's at, and you can you can track your information, get your book. That way you can get started with correcting these blood pressure issues and getting a better understanding of what's going on. So double check your email. If you got your book already, put a 1 inside of put a 2 inside the chat, so I know you got your book already. That way, you know, I know that these all going out and everybody's receiving their merchandise. So again, high blood pressure breakdown books. A lot of them are already landing. People are getting their book. They're very happy about it. But if you haven't gotten it yet, check your mailbox, check your spam. You know, a lot of people contact me like, hey, I didn't get my book. A lot of them say they would deliver today. And then, you know, just check out your front mailbox and make sure that you got everything that you need. Next, yeah, so any questions, drop them in the chat. And we're waiting for this cast iron to heat up just a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and answer any questions that I might see. And we go from there. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Boom. I'm so happy I found this today. May God bless you to keep making these videos. Yeah, man. I'm going to be here every Wednesday having a live cooking demonstration for you guys. That way you kind of get your hands on or wrap your mind around what it looks like when it comes down to cooking when managing your blood pressure. Because, you know, a lot of times they tell us no salt and we try to go no salt and it's highly unpalatable. And we're dealing with like Mrs. Dash seasoning and it don't really taste that good, as simple as that. I want you guys to understand how to make your food still taste better while you're making these dietary transitions to correct these blood pressure issues. You don't have to be bored and have to starve yourself. It's just about understanding the right way to go, the nutritious foods that you can consume to correct these issues. So it's my pleasure to show up for you guys. I'll be here every Wednesday moving forward, and we can have some fun inside my kitchen. So hopefully I get me a nice studio where I can have all the lights and cameras set up and I don't have to move y'all around and stuff like that. But we'll get there sooner or later. So other than that, it's all good. Any other questions, feel free to drop them in. I'm scrolling down. And don't forget to share the video, guys, man. Share the video with some friends and keep going from there. Next one, I see what's inside of the Creole seasoning. Onion powder, garlic powder, thyme. I put a little bit of basil inside there, sweet paprika, along with the smoked paprika. And one of the main things that goes in there is salt as well. But again, we don't do any sodium, so we left out the salt in this whole process. That way we still have those other combination of flavors without that excess sodium, and we used our other items to bring up those flavor profiles to get exactly what it was that we're looking for. Let me turn that down real quick. Boom. So yeah, that's kind of what those seasoning blends are. It's really, really simple. One of the best ways to simply make your own seasoning blend without these things is do a Google search. So go on Google. Let's say you want Creole seasoning. Go on Google and Google's Creole seasonings, and you want to find somebody that's Creole, that's Haitian, right? And then you find some of those combination of recipes that they have. Take that seasoning blend that they have, that they offer, and remove the things that that goes against what you're trying to do. The excess sodium, any oils, or anything else that you know that you shouldn't be consuming dealing with your issues. Just simply take them out, and it's going to alter the flavor a little bit. But that's why it's important to understand the different type of substitutions that you can consume. That's going to help you at the end game bring it all together the way that you want to. So you got plenty of options to get things done when it comes down to it. What's the green mixture in the bottle? Green mixture. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that was this. I almost didn't know what you're talking about. This is the sofrito mixture. This is simply just peppers, cilantro, onions, garlic, scrap vegetables that was laying around from me chopping up everything. I put those scrap vegetables together, add a little bit of water. I put the same jerk seasoning inside of it to actually add some flavor to it, and then just mix it inside the vegetables to bring all those flavors together. And that way it has like this nice just vegetable medley jerk style flavor that's just hydrated. And since you said hydrated, look at this pot. That's hydrated and brings all those flavor profiles together. So it's really, really simple, easy to prepare, real basic, just about being a little bit of creative, and go from there. I never knew I could fry cabbage with water. Thank you so much for doing this. Simple, man. You know, we learn to cook with butter and oil and all these other things, but we have to understand that, you know, we learned from our parents and our grandparents and things like that. And a lot of these chronic issues, they stem from the things that we consume. So when you start making these adjustments, this is a real simple adjustment. Switching from butter to water, or from oil to water, or vegetable broth it's really simple, really subtle. We all saw the pot. It's not much of a difference. You're eliminating the damaging foods, the damaging items from those foods, and you're keeping it in a health promoting way, and it's going to allow for you to correct those issues while still having something that's very, very close to what you traditionally would prepare. So understanding what your options look like and being consistent in that area is really, really a big part of it. And what else we got? Any questions, feel free to drop it in. Why do you use coconut aminos and where do you get it from? Coconut aminos is it's like a marinade. Let me see if I got one of them. I do have one. Got to open one somewhere. I got to find it though. So coconut aminos is like a seasoning style marinade. Really, really simple. I usually get it from Publix. I smell my pot for some reason. I usually get it from Publix, and that looks good. I usually get the coconut aminos from Publix, and they sell it in other stores. You can get it online, things like that. Really simple. It's like $6 or something like that, but it's like a coconut style marinade. Thing is, you want to gently use this. Reason being, this is something that I coach about to help people transition to this healthier diet. It's not something that you want to be using all the time and using as a crutch, because it still has a sodium level to it. It's not as much as salt or these other items out there, but it's still enough that, I knew it was something. It's still enough where you just, it's enough where it's designed to use to allow you to add more flavor to your items. That way it could be more palatable as you transition your diet, as you make this dietary change. So this is what it looks like. You can order it online. Publix is my local store here. You can find it at Whole Foods. A lot of stores carry it. It's not really hard to find. It's typically found in like your sauce area. I can't really say what will be next to it, but it's typically found in places like that. Really simple, easy to use, but do not abuse it. Don't use it as a crutch. It does taste good. Sometimes when something's really good, we just tend to add it on top of there. That's what you don't want to do, because you can't overdo it, especially when you're making these changes. So don't rely on it, but use it to help you transition and go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn you guys right back onto the stove. I talk enough, so I'm going to get you guys right here. Boom. So we're right on top. We can see that cabbage. I had to take the lid off real quick because I thought I started smelling it. But as you can see, that cabbage still look good. Ain't nothing burning, ain't nothing charring. We on point on this side. So cabbage looks good. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and shut it down. And I'm going to close that up. So cabbage is done. When we plate it up, I'm going to season it again. But right now, we about to focus on this pot right here that's going to hold our plantains. It feels nice and hot. My biggest worry was that it's going to be, it wasn't going to be hot enough and my plantains was going to stick to it, and that's the last thing I want. But as you can hear, it's a nice sizzle to it. It sounds like it's nice and hot. I don't want it to trick me, but it sounds good. So I'm just going to gently drop those in, and these plantains are going to top off my dish, because again, it's like a Caribbean style rice and peas with some jerk mushrooms and vegetables. That's just really going to be banging when it comes down to the flavors that we're looking for this dish. Because remember, when it comes down to cooking and making these dietary transitions, you want to make sure that you're eating food that you enjoy. One of the worst things to do is to transition your diet and you don't like the food that you're consuming. That's the main reason why people quit their diet, because they're eating food that they don't like. So understanding that once you start making certain changes like this and you enjoy the food, it's going to be a lot easier to stick to the routine, and that's going to help you actually reach your goals of making these types of dietary transitions. So understanding that liking the food, that's a big part of it. And understanding that you can still enjoy your cultural style foods. It's just a matter of understanding how you can prepare them in a more health promoting way, eliminating the excess salts, eliminating the oils and the refined sugars and all those things that contribute to these chronic diseases like high blood pressure. That's important to help you just get to where you need to be while still being able to enjoy your foods and satisfy yourself in those type of ways. So the plantains are there. I just mixed up this rice and peas. I'm gonna give you a quick little visual over here real quick while we're waiting for that. I mixed up these rice and peas. As you can see, these peppers, we just make sure we're taking care of them. We don't want them to burst open in the pot. But I mixed it up real good. As you can see, it's nice and grainy. It's not all sticky. It still needs to cook a tad bit longer, but it's looking real good. The color's coming to it real nice. I'm gonna go ahead and shake that off real quick. Put that in that bowl. I'm gonna close this up and I'm gonna turn it off, mainly because I shut it down, mainly because that steam and that heat that's already there is gonna carry over, and that's gonna allow it to finish off without overcooking, because a lot of times we can overcook our food, and that's just not what we want to do, because we want the flavor, right? We want it to taste exactly how we want it. But if we overcook it, we're gonna shortchange ourselves. So here we are with the plantains. I put a little sprinkle there to see how hot that pan was. Looking good. And now I'm just gonna gently lift those up. And I got my rubber spatula here, and I just want to do a nice little flip over. And I'm starting to stick a little bit. That's what ain't what I want, but it's cool. Boom. So my heat feel like it might be too hot. A little bit better. Ain't too bad. All right. Boom. Yeah, we're doing all right. There we go. So now with the plantains, they were nice and soft. And you want to make sure that your plantains are ripe when you're preparing them, especially if you're not using any oil. One thing about plantains is that if they're starchy and they're not that ripe, they ain't going to taste good. As simple as that. I learned that quite some time ago, a few years ago. Make sure your plantains are nice and ripe. And here we go. I got another one that was sitting here. This is a ripe plantain. Your plantain should look like a rotten or almost rotten banana. This is how you want your plantain, just like this at least. And it should be a little bit more if you want it a little bit sweeter. So the closer your plantain looks like this, the better it's actually going to be when it comes down to the flavoring of it, especially when you're not using any oil to fry it and stuff like that. Because again, cooking with oil is one of the most dangerous ways to prepare your food because of the carcinogens that's released and how it breaks the food down. So we're not using any oil during this process, and we got our nice ripe plantains. We want to make sure that the plantains are exactly how we want them. That way, when we're cooking them, they're nice and consistent, they're nice and soft, and we allow to cook them to where that flavor comes out exactly how we want them. So as you can see, we got it on a nice medium high heat, and the plantains are not sticking and charring and burning to the pot. What happens is if you heat up the pot too much, you start to get this type of issue right here all over the plantain. Like you see where it was a little hot and it started to stick to that pot. That's what you want to avoid. And you avoid that by cooking nice, low and slow. Low and slow is going to be the best way to cook, especially when you're not using any oil during this process. So it's really simple. Doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It does require just a visual eye to control the temperatures. That way you're not burning up your food and charring it and stuff like that. So it's real basic, real easy. As you can see, that's nice and done there, and just simple and ready to go. So I could go ahead and turn this pot off. No, that one ain't done right there. So it's basically ready to go. And I got a few more right there that I can cook, but I ain't going to drag y'all through that last process. I'll save that for later, and we'll do that another time. But as you can see, those plantains look real good. Boom. So now, lastly, we need to get inside this oven. And I'll just open it up for you guys real quick. And it's a little bit of steam. But those mushrooms and stuff that we got inside there, those are looking real good. I'm going to go ahead and bring you guys up. And I'm going to transition you to the other side of the table. That way I can pull the mushrooms out of the oven. You guys get a little visual of what it looks like. And then we can start plating it up and getting it together. And then we'll be done. I can let y'all go, and y'all can enjoy the rest of y'all night with some valuable insight of how you prepare these type of recipes. And also, I'll mention that once I get going. But I'm going to transition this real quick. And that way we can keep this party flowing. And again, if you guys got any questions, I'll be answering some questions as soon as I transition everything over. And that way I can help you guys continue to get an understanding of, making these types of dietary changes. So any questions, drop them in, and I'll be right back on your screen in like 30 seconds. We'll be ready to keep moving. Boom, here we go. Looking good. Got my bowl right here. Where's my spoon at? Somewhere around here. All right, cool. So let's transition you guys over and get you guys a nice bird's eye view of my bowl, my whole setup right here. So you guys got a nice bird's eye view to make sure it's right in the center. This the plate we're going to be plating in. What else we got? boom, plate here. I'm gonna start to slowly bring over all of my other items. That way you can kind of get a visual of what it looks like and how this plating scenario is gonna actually work out. Shut that down, put it over, and boom, we're gonna go ahead and get started right now. So, as I come over, I'm gonna bring the rice and peas first. Rice and peas are here. First thing you always wanna do, get rid of those doggone peppers. Last thing you want somebody to do is have a pepper inside of their rice and peas and they end up biting on it. Lord have mercy, that's gonna be the end of their weekend. Their night gonna be ruined. They're gonna be mad at you for a long time. So rice and peas are done. Give it a nice little gentle whip. And as you can see, nothing's sticking, nothing's charring. It smells oh so delicious. Man, hey, I need to, listen, let me hush, matter of fact. Yeah, this is great. So we give it a nice whip around. That little bay leaf that was left over, always get rid of it. Last thing you want, somebody have a bay leaf on their plate too. So boom, rice and peas looks great. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it over. You can see that? Oh, that looks good, guys. If that looks good, man, put a 3 inside the chat. Let me know how good it looks. Rice and peas, y'all. Jamaican style rice and peas. I'm gonna go ahead and bring that over. Add a little more just for the leverage over there. We're gonna drop those right inside the plate right there. We're gonna take this bowl. We're gonna move it out the way. And now we're gonna bring over our cabbage. Cabbage gonna be the next one over. Here, cabbage, come on with it. So our cabbage is coming over. As you can see, cabbage is nice and wilted, broken down. We cooked it with no oil, no salt, no sugar, none of the extra stuff. And as you can see the bottom of the pot, nothing's charring. Yes, you can cook your cabbage without all the oil and the butter and the fat and all those damaging things that's causing the blood pressure issues. It looks nice and good. Nothing's charring, nothing's burnt. Got our peppers inside of it. It's nice and tender. Got a little bit of a bite to it, just how I like it. Some people might want to cook it a little bit further. That's cool. But as long as you take care of the pot and do it exactly how you want to, it's going to come together exactly how you want it to. Simple as that. So we got our cabbage inside, our rice and peas, our cabbage right there. And boom, we're going to go ahead and get this one right out of the way and bring our next dish right over. Next up, we're going to be those jerk mushrooms and peppers and onions. We're going to bring those over. And yeah, we're going to bring those over and get those right on top. And nice and hot too. Nice. Let me move this tripod. Looking real good. I can see the seasoning blends on top of it, and this is gonna be great. Actually, let me find a way to hold this. I should add some more color, but it looks good. Here we go. Let me bring this over really quick. All right, so we're gonna grab our jerk mushrooms. And we're going to go ahead. Can you guys see these real quick? Probably can. I might need to get you a little closer. We're going to go ahead and drop our mushrooms and our marinated jerk mushrooms and peppers over. Drop them right on top. And as you can see, the marinated is nice and thick on there. And you can see the flavor profile and the seasoning that's there. Those are looking really, really well. And next, we're going to go ahead and bring over those plantains. The plantains are definitely going to top all this off. Bring those plantains over. I'm gonna go ahead and use my fingers, even though, yeah, this is my food, so I'm gonna use my hands anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these off, right off this hot pot. Drop these plantains right on top as well. And now, let me get it right on. Boom, just like that. Drop these plantains on top. And now we got a nice combination of things that's just bringing everything together. Nice flavor profile, and it's looking real great. And just to finish it off, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a couple spring onions, because for some reason, God knows, I love spring onions right on top of my food, especially these types of items. Grab some spring onions real quick, and I'm just gonna drop a couple of them right on top, just to bring some flair and make it pop, because it really just tastes good with a nice little touch of onions right on top of it. Boom. So I put that right on top. That way I can mix all that in. But there you got it. It's a real simple item. Jamaican style rice and peas, some jerk mushrooms and onions, cabbage right there, and some plantains. Really simple. No salt, no oils, no refined sugars. All of our seasonings that we made it in-house ourselves. Our jerk seasoning that we put on the mushrooms with the marinade, our Creole style seasoning that we put on side of our cabbage and our rice and peas. Really simple, low sodium, whole food plant-based meal that's going to be easy to prepare, delicious to make. And the best thing about this type of meal is that the next day it always tastes better, mainly because all the different flavors are allowed to sit and come together inside of these dishes. And that just really brings everything out in such a bold way. The rice and peas always, the quinoa and peas always taste so much better. The cabbage comes together. We all know how leftovers taste, especially after like one of those good holiday leftovers. This is the same type of thing. It comes together really, really well. And the best part about it, it's a health promoting meal that's going to also satiate you and let you know that you're still moving in the right direction when it comes down to your dietary transition. Now, ideally, before I eat a meal like this, I always have me a nice salad. And one of my favorite salads is my plantain salad that I create. If anybody been to my market, at the farmer's market at my restaurant there, the plantain salad is very, very popular. So the plantain salad is something that I typically have before I eat this item, and it just sets the tone for everything that I'm doing. So this one is really, really good. It's all done. It's in the bag. And what I'm going to do basically now is take any questions before I wrap up tonight's session, because it's 9 o'clock and it is almost bedtime for me. I'm close up my cabinet, man. So if you guys got any questions, feel free to drop them in. I'll take a quick second to answer any questions for you guys, and then we can wrap up this section and keep going from there. So let's see. I don't see any right now. Let's see. Any questions, feel free to drop them in. How do you order the book? You can go right to my link. You see my name or my picture or somewhere, or even the link that was there. I'm not sure where it's at. It's probably right down low. But you could go to my profile. When you go to my profile, you'll see my link. Just click on my link, and it'll take you right to my books and all my other offerings. That way you can also see everything else that's there when it comes down to making lifestyle changes related to blood pressure and other type of chronic issues. My cookbook is also coming out very, very soon. It's due to release on August 14th. Cookbook is a follow-up to my high blood pressure breakdown book. That way you can understand these dietary changes and have confidence when actually making them. The cookbook is going to give you a breakdown of many different recipes and also give you an understanding of the nutritional changes directly related to blood pressure issues. Cookbook comes out on August 14th, and you do have the option to pre-order it if you like. That way when August 14th comes out, it's hitting the mail and you guys can get it landed right to your doorstep. So just click the link on my page. You'll be able to see everything that's there and be able to pick up the book and do the things that you need to do to keep moving forward. Here we go. No book yet. Received the email about 5 days ago. If you didn't get a book yet, received the email about 5 days ago, that means you just went out with the next batch. It should be landed any day. Double check your email and your spam mail for the post office email that gives off the tracking information, and that way you can know exactly where you're at with it. But 5 days, meaning like, yeah, you should be landing somewhere in between the next day or so. Miss Rhoda James. Is beet juice good for blood pressure? It's okay. Reason I say okay is because it works. It lowers your blood pressure temporarily. That's the biggest problem. It gives you a temporary reduction in blood pressure, and it doesn't get to the root cause of the problem. And my biggest issue with beetroot juice is that it gives most people a false sense of security when it comes down to the changes that they're making. So imagine you taking beetroot juice and your blood pressure go from 140 over 95 to 120 over 78. You're going to be happy about that. But that's only temporary. Beetroot juice only works when it's in your system. Once it's out of your system, your blood pressure goes right back up. Reason being, beetroot juice is very, very high in nitrates. Nitrates, once they enter into the body converts these nitrates into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the molecule that your body uses to dilate your blood vessels. So when you drink beetroot juice, you're having a plethora of nitrates flowing through the bloodstream, and the body just taking it and turning it into nitric oxide, and the blood is flowing nice and smoothly, and this relaxes the blood vessels, and the blood pressure comes down. And what happens is, as soon as this beetroot juice and all the nitrates are out of your system, you now have this false sense of, I just did something right and I'm moving in the right direction. But in actuality, you're kind of just running around in a circle because you're not getting to the root cause of your problem, which is most likely rooted in your dietary and lifestyle habits. So it's really important that we understand that beetroot juice is a Band-Aid. It's a temporary fix that really can be drawn out to be better than what it actually is. It does give you some simple temporary results, but it's not going to solve your problem. It should never be substituted for anything. But understand it does have benefits. But when it comes to getting to the root cause of the problem, try to avoid beetroot juice because it's not going to get there. It's not going to get you where you need to be. What else? I see a lot of people say they didn't get their book yet. Be patient. Just check your emails. Make sure you get your tracking information. But they will land soon. Trust me, y'all. I'm here every day. I'm talking about it every day. I ain't holding your books. They coming. Trust me. They all showing up. Roster man, job blessed. I have lost 70 pounds in 3 months following you. My blood pressure was 199 over 130. Now it's 140 over 90. Oh, man. Love the testimonies like that. Man, I appreciate that. Roster man, job blessed, man. Definitely. You know, and one thing about it is making these lifestyle changes, it works, man. It's not a gimmick. It's not a trick. It's not a fad. It's not nothing to sell. It's nothing. It's as simple as that. It's about just showing up and doing for yourself. Getting in alignment, man. Get yourself in alignment and do what you need to do in order to correct these issues. It's as simple as that. Understanding how to get to the root cause of your problem through dietary and lifestyle changes is the key. It's as simple as that. When it comes down to blood pressure issues, diabetes, obesity, all those different things, we're causing an issue. We're self-inflicting ourselves. We're shooting the bullets that's hurting us in all these different areas. Once you understand that and be like, yo, man, what am I doing? What's happening? Is it my diet? Is it my stress levels? Is it my sleeping habits? Is it my relationships? What's causing my problems? Once you decide to look within yourself to see what you're doing wrong and what's contributing, it's night and day. It opens up and you find the answers. Most people try to look for healing outside themselves. They go looking for herbs. They go looking for supplements. They take the medication. They do all these things. They go outside searching. The answer's not out there. You got to go in here. Go in there. Figure out what's going on inside here. Once you do that, I can guarantee you, you're going to find the answer to your problem. So, Roster man, thank you for sharing. I greatly appreciate that testimony because, again, just like you, many people have been able to reach their goals and, get in better health by simply making lifestyle changes. That's what it's all about, understanding exactly what needs to take place in order to get you right there. Any other questions, feel free to drop in. I'm scrolling down and just looking for them and going from there. Is aminos a sub for soy sauce? I don't like to use it as a sub. Reason being because you can become dependent on it, and it's not the best thing to actually consume. Reason being, when you're trying to make these changes, it can give you this, it's good to help with making the food nice and palatable and enjoyable, but you don't want to use it as a crutch. Soy sauce is very, very high in sodium. Aminos has sodium in it as well, but it's not that excessive amount. So it makes your food a little more palatable while also helping you build your body up to ultimately not need it. So that should be your end goal, not having to rely on it and not need it. Reason I use it in dishes like this, because I'm a firm believer in meeting people where they at. If I can meet you halfway and show you that this works and grab your hand and you enjoy a dish like this, now it's like, I got you. Come on over to the other side and get some of this good healing and help yourself get better and all that good stuff. So this tool is a crutch. The aminos is a crutch to help meet you halfway so you can get to the end goal that you're trying to accomplish, whether it's getting off the pharmaceutical medications, getting your weight under control, making the dietary changes, and live a more health-promoting lifestyle. This is a step in the right direction. So try not to use it as a substitute. Like you see, this one's not even open. It's something that we have. I bought it for my mom when she was making, my mom bought this one, but she was making her dietary transition, and this was something to help her on her way to get through these processes. So there's a lot of different options out there. Just understanding what's best is going to be good. What about Bragg's aminos? Can it be used? Bragg's is very, very high in sodium. Bragg's has about 3 times as much as the coconut aminos. Just check the back of it. I want to say for every tablespoon, it's like 600 milligrams of sodium. That's something you got to be really, really mindful of because that's excessive, especially with the tablespoon. Now, you can use it and help in some areas, but you got to be really mindful of it. I think this one here has what? 270 milligrams of serving for a tablespoon. And for what I use inside of here, this is about, I want to say about 7 to 8 servings. So it's just a little droplet inside of there. And once you you break up 270 into, well, actually you two. So you break up like 530 into 2. And when you break up 530 into 7 different servings, it's a really low amount of sodium, but your food is nice and palatable, and you're not overwhelming your body when trying to reduce your sodium levels to correct blood pressure issues. So be very mindful of Bragg's. Bragg's has a lot of sodium in it. It does taste good. I've had it before, but it's something that you really want to be mindful of it when you're using it. So any questions, feel free to drop them in. And we keep going. So remember, I'm going to be here every Wednesday moving forward. Just simple as that. I made a commitment to it. I'm going to try to stick with it as close as I can every Wednesday, like 7:30, 8 o'clock-ish. I ain't put a time on it yet. But 7:30, 8 o'clock-ish, I'll be here in the kitchen going through these motions and just delivering some good recipes to you guys. And go from there. Mildred Lawrence, is it better to use a cast iron skillet to fry the plantains? Yeah, it works out best for me, reason being because I don't like to cook with any oil, and I still get that nice golden crisp color that I'm looking for, and it's going to allow for those plantains to be nice and tender like I like to. And one thing about it, when you don't use oil and use like a regular pan, even if it's a non-stick pan, those plantains and the sugars that come out of it when you're cooking it, they start to stick to the pan, and it just get ugly. They taste good, but I like my food to look pretty, so things like that. What else we got going on? I'm moving the whole camera right there. Where y'all from, man? Y'all put some, y'all let me know where y'all from. I see somebody here saying they checking in from Long Island, New York. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for telling me where you're from. I'm down here in South Florida, where the weather is great in the morning, and by the afternoon, it's God knows what's going on. Right now, it's just pouring down raining when I got started, but I think it cleared up right now. Ain't no telling what it's gonna look like in the morning. Florida weather, bipolar. It'll be all kind of stuff going on. Does plantains really have that banana taste? In my opinion, no. They taste totally different. They're cousins, but they don't really taste the same. Totally different. No, they don't taste the same. I can't even picture my plantain or my banana tasting anywhere similar. So definitely not. Definitely not. Why don't you use olive oil when cooking? Miss Pamela's Sasportas. I think I said that right. So good. That's a great question. So I'll go over this again. We talk about this in the high blood pressure group that we have. And if you guys are not part of the high blood pressure group, what you waiting for, man? The group free. Get in the group. Learn something. Get your game right. Step it up a little bit. Lose that weight. Join the challenge. Get your blood pressure together. Live your life. Join the high blood pressure group. Just click my page. Go join the high blood pressure group. Get in there. Start learning some stuff. But back to your question. Why do you not use olive oil when cooking? Simple answer. It's called the postprandial effects of olive oil. And what that means is when you consume olive oil, there's an initial reaction in the body that has a direct impact on your cardiovascular system. And if you know what your cardiovascular system is, pretty much controls your blood flow, and the blood flow is your flow of life throughout your body. When you consume oil, the postprandial effect, and this doesn't matter what kind of oil it is, olive oil in particular, but it doesn't matter what type of oil, but when you consume it, it causes your blood vessels to constrict. And when your blood vessels constrict, they basically start to tighten up. And when your blood vessels tighten up, this reduces the flow of blood that's flowing through these arteries. And when the flow of blood gets reduced, your heart has to kick into gear to pump a lot harder. And this causes an increase in blood pressure. Now, we've all heard that oil is heart healthy. It's plastered all over the place. Heart healthy oil, reduced cholesterol, all this stuff. And I'm not going to take away from that. Yeah, oil has some healthy components that's in it, because when you take an olive and you break it down, yeah, you're going to get some of those polyphenols and plant chemicals that have been shown to help in certain areas. But to better understand oils, you have to go back to how it's prepared. And when you go back to how it's prepared, this gives you a better understanding of this concept. When you look at oil, and I'm just using olive oil as an example, but this goes for all oils and any other food that's broken down in this manner. So when you go back to oils, And I'm gonna start with olive oil. You take an olive, right? Got a little olive. You take that olive, and to create oil, you have to extract the fat from that olive and separate it completely. So you got to take out the fiber, the water, vitamins, minerals, enzymes, all those other things that make it a whole food and beneficial for the body. You have to take all that out and isolate just that fat in order to create that bottle of oil. Now, once you do that, that is no longer a whole food. And at best, inside of your body, it's going to work like a medicine. And at worst, it's going to be highly toxic, causing a lot of damage. And that's what we see for the majority of people. So when you take any food and you separate it and you take out the fiber, the water, the vitamins, the minerals, and enzymes, it's no longer a whole food. It's denatured completely. It's no longer going to work inside of your body the same way as that whole food does. Think of it as sugar. You take the sugar cane and you take out the fiber, the water, you extract it, you cook it up, and now you isolate it, and now you have just that white sugar. It's the same ideology, the same concept. Same thing with cocaine. You take the cocoa leaf and you break it down, you do all that good stuff to it and separate it. It's no longer that cocoa leaf. It's now just it's a drug. And the same thing is happening through all these different denatured foods that we're consuming. It's the same type of process. So when you take these whole foods, olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, all these things, once you start breaking it down and isolating it, it don't matter if it's cold pressed, it don't matter if your great auntie Nanny did it and did it in her kitchen, it's the same thing. It has the same type of process and natures inside of the body. It damages your endothelial cells, and the endothelial cells are pretty much the guardian of your cardiovascular system. The endothelial cells line the blood vessels all throughout your heart, all throughout your body. And when you're consistently consuming damaging foods, these cells are no longer able to do their job. They have like 3 basic jobs. One of them is to produce nitric oxide to dilate the blood vessels so the blood can flow through smoothly. And if they're getting damaged, they're no longer able to produce the nitric oxide. So now instead of your blood vessels dilating to help with a smoother blood flow, they stay all stiff and tight. And now the heart has to pump harder in order to get the blood through the vessels. When the heart pumping harder, the heart rate goes up and the blood pressure goes up. Next, the endothelial cells, they line the artery so they're side by side, making sure the arteries are nice and smooth and the blood can flow through without any issues. But when you consume the oils, the blood vessels constrict, and now these cells that are side by side, they start to rub up on each other and shift out of place and get damaged and break down. And now this gets them out of place. And now when the blood is flowing through, it's gaps inside of the armor. And now these cells that's supposed to be side by side, keeping it nice and smooth, there are gaps in between. And now different things can get lodged in these gaps, such as cholesterol and plaque and all these things. And now you got this formation, this plaque formation in the arteries that's obstructing the blood pressure. And now the heart has to pump even harder because somewhere up in these arteries there's an obstruction, and it increases your blood pressure. And these are all different triggers that happens when you're consuming different type of oils. So part of the strategies that I talk about in the high blood pressure classes is understanding how these things work and removing them from your diet. And one of the most important things, you can think I'm probably full of baloney and all this other stuff, but understand this. Us moving away from these items will never do anything bad from you. This is just about moving away from these things, what we think we know, and like things that we heard. Moving away from olive oil is not going to hurt you. It's not going to kill you because you don't need oil to live. It's nothing beneficial in there for you. So moving away from it is just switching your mindset and going in a different direction. It's not going to hurt anybody to give this a try and seeing if it works or not. But for the person that thinks, nah, I'm going to just go ahead with the olive oil because that's what I heard. And I heard that doctor say that. And then it's on this label that it's heart healthy. And I'm going to stick with that. Now, if you stick with it, then it's liable to hurt you for just not knowing or not understanding what's actually going on inside. So my whole thing is give it a try. See what happens. 7 days, 14 days, however long. Give it a try and see how your body responds. And your body is all knowing. Your body's going to tell you everything that's going on within yourself. And when you listen to your body and your body go to telling you all that good stuff like, hey, man, you keep doing that, you're going to end up losing 10 pounds, 12 pounds. Your blood pressure is going to go down. Your energy levels are going to go up. That's what everybody in the high blood pressure groups are seeing. I talk about this every day. Everybody in the high blood pressure groups that are actively participating and following the instructions, their blood pressure is coming down, their weight is coming down, their energy levels are going up. They're getting the benefits of lifestyle changes. And it's all about just following the pathways that's laid out for them. Matter of fact, I keep this picture I keep it near. This is me, 248 pounds, blood pressure through the roof, pre-diabetic, all that good stuff going on. This is me. That whole metabolic syndrome I talk about, I had it all brewing just like this. I had to dive into my lifestyle to understand what was happening. Taking courses, talking to doctors, doing all type of classes, breaking it down to figure out what was going on, what was contributing to my condition. And me going to the far end of the spectrum, I came away with the understanding that the way I was living and the things I was consuming was directly contributing to my poor health and the chronic issues that I was experiencing. I made the decision to dive in real deep. I came out on the other end a whole different person. 80 pounds down, no blood pressure issues, no more blood sugar issues. My body is in the best shape that I've ever been in. I'm about 178 pounds, 180 pounds soaking wet on a good day, and I feel good. In high school, I was 206 pounds. I played ball. I still didn't feel the way that I feel right now. So understanding that when you make lifestyle changes and you show up for yourself and be consistent, you can go from this to living a healthy eating and active living lifestyle, being the best version of yourself. I'm 35 years old, and it took me till I started developing these chronic conditions to make some changes. Now, my biggest thing is, it doesn't matter how old you are. When you get yourself out there and start moving your body and start eating correctly, your body's going to shift and get into alignment and start correcting these things. Every cell in your body wants to live. It wants to thrive. But you have to create the environment within yourself to do so. And through the high blood pressure challenge and the different courses that I have, it's all about getting in alignment, removing the things that are contributing and allowing for your body to move forward and dictate the process. Simple as that. No tricks, no gimmicks. Show up for yourself, get things done, and that's how you get to the root cause of the problem. So any other questions, feel free to drop it in. It's definitely past my bedtime. It's 9:30, and I need to go actually get in bed. But I'm going to answer a couple more questions before I actually get up out of here. Let's see. What kind of mushrooms were they? Those were simple portobellos, large portobellos, white mushrooms, some baby portobellos. But you can use any type of mushrooms that you like. One thing I like to tell people is this. A lot of times we try to create meat substitutes when we're making dietary transitions. And try not to aim for substitutes. Try to create meals that just don't need animal products at all. You know, that would be a lot easier because a lot of people like to go for the mushroom substitutes because they want to try to make it taste like chicken or taste like other stuff that they're comfortable with. And it's easier just to create foods that just don't use animal-based products and experience with these other type of cultural foods that will bring a lot of flavor and create those different profiles that we're looking for that hit the spot in ways that we're just not used to. And this will allow you to gain an abundance of recipes and understanding of different foods that you like and be able to put them together in different ways to satisfy those different cravings that you might have for some of those other foods that you like. So try not to worry about, substitutions of animal-based products when you're making dietary changes. More so look for recipes or different dishes that just don't have them in there. It'll be a whole lot easier and it'll taste better. I guarantee you that. It's simple as that. And a little bit about my chef hat. My mom bought this for my birthday, like 2 years ago. Only time I wear this when I'm live and in the kitchen just hanging out or when I'm fooling around playing with the kids and stuff like that. A little bit. I used to be a chef, a corporate chef for 11 years, 12 years. About 11, 12 years. I traveled around the country, opening up many different restaurants. I had fun while doing so, but at that same time, that's how I turned into this guy. All the rich food, all the wine, all the drinking, the nightlife and all that stuff. It turned me into this guy, and I knew I had to make a change. And that's part of how my lifestyle change journey actually began. So my main testament to you guys is don't wait till it's too late. As simple as that. If you're still breathing and you're kicking and moving and you know you need to make some changes, don't wait till it's too late, because when it's too late, it's too late. And it's going to be a lot harder. So understand, like, yo, lifestyle changes is all about progression. Start where you're at and progress to where you need to be. Every little bit counts. Making small dietary changes, it counts. Start moving your body more, it counts. Start managing your stress, it all counts. And that compound interest adds up. And over the course of 6 months of doing things consistently, you will become a new person. It took me 8 months to lose 80 pounds. Simple as that. Like, it was a big deal. And I didn't spend my time in the gym or running around and overexerting myself. I just made lifestyle changes. My lifestyle issues, my health issues was rooted in my nutritional habits and my stress levels. I got my nutrition in line. I lost 80 pounds and my blood pressure was still high. And then I had to realize, my stress levels was through the roof. So I had to get my stress under control. And once I started doing that, boom, blood pressure's down. I'm feeling better than ever. And it just took me to understand what my triggers are. So with that being said, when you understand your triggers and you understand your triggers and you actively work to correct them, this will lead you to the root cause of your problem. And once you get those results, your body's going to talk to you in ways that you ain't heard since you was a little teenager or a baby, and you're going to feel rejuvenated. You're going to feel the energy. You're going to see the weight shift. You're going to see the blood pressure come down. You're going to see all those things that's going to make you desire to keep up with these tactics and strategies. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. Join the high blood pressure group. Join the high blood pressure group. Join the challenges that we're having. Right now, we're having a Fit for Life challenge that's helping people that are 40 and over understand how to create more movement no matter what their level of health is and the issues that they're dealing with. Join the challenges. That way you can start getting the information that you need to start making these dietary and lifestyle changes. Also, my high blood pressure breakdown book. When you click my page, you can get access to this book. The book is filled with the tactics and strategies that I use in my different challenges to help you understand how to get to the root cause of your blood pressure problem. It's much bigger than diet. It's much bigger than exercise. This is all about your lifestyle. This book is going to allow you to understand how to dot your I's and cross your T's to understand your lifestyle and and understand what you're missing when it comes down to gaining control of your blood pressure. This book goes over the laws of life that many people have no idea exist. All we know is the law of self-preservation. Nobody knows anything else after that. Understand the laws of life and what guards your life, and understand how to get in alignment with these things. Understand the prerequisites of life. Your body needs particular things just to function. We all know water and sunlight, but we don't know nothing about the aesthetics and the safe environment and all the other good stuff that your body needs to ensure that it's moving in the right direction. The high blood pressure breakdown goes over these things. The better you're able to understand what your body needs and how it connects to your blood pressure and the issues that you're experiencing, the better you'll be able to get to the root cause of the problem. So with that being said, I'm Kellen Golden. I'm signing out. I'm going to clean up my kitchen and get stuff ready and take my behind the bed. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. So peace and blessings. Y'all take care. And I'll see y'all later.